but I'm going to start. I'm going to take you through a journey of what flow is and how you can become a flow personality. So I'm very excited for this, and I'm looking forward to this webinar, and I'm looking forward to helping you get into the flow. So first of all, let's just go over an overview of this webinar and how you can become a flow personality. So first of all, we're going to do the introduction to the flow state. So we're going to see what the flow state is and how you get into the flow state. And then we're going to go over to the flow personality traits. We're going to take a look at building a flow personality, how you build a flow personality. Then we're going to take a few flow triggers. So we're going to do a practical part where you're going to do some flow exercises, but don't worry, I'm not going to let you jump up and down and do stuff like that. So anyway, and then the fifth thing we're going to look at is the Flow Hub 7. So I'm just going to give you a walkthrough of the Flow Hub 7, what it is and what you can expect of it. So, okay, I'm just checking this stuff. Let me just be sure. Sorry for the noise, you guys. I did not know that they're going to work in the apartment at the top today. And I think that's one of the things why I regularly don't like to create events in advance. Like when I do my Winning Wednesday, I don't create an event and I don't say I'm going to go live at certain times because you never know what's going to happen around you. But then I realized that we've got to do this stuff. So no matter what's going on around me, I'm still not going to let it influence me helping other people. So anyway, let's move over and start with the flow. Okay, so what is the flow state? The state of flow is being in the zone. It's a state of peak performance, the most desirable state you want to be in, a fluid stream of optimal perception and optimal experience. And the flow state is a state we are all seeking. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story later on as we're going through these flow sessions. But it is a state we all would like to be in all the time. And so I'm just going to play you a FlowCode lesson where Max Flow, like Maximum Flow, is going to explain to you more about flow. And so you must enjoy this lesson. And it's awesome to see this. And I love Max Flow's voice. It's so calming. So let's go over to this lesson. So let me just play it to you just after it's loaded. I'm going to mute myself so that I'm not distracting while the lesson is playing. And then I must just remember to unmute myself afterwards. All right, so let me just mute myself.
FlowCode, lesson number 1. What is a flow state? Hi, and I am Max Flow. I will be your leading voice through the complete FlowCode lessons. Let's peek first into what the flow state is all about. You know that state we're in when we act with razor-sharp focus. Our confidence is overwhelmed with certainty. Our body and mind adapts to the situation effortlessly. It's in this state that we take giant steps in our level of fulfillment, moving in the direction that was previously not even dreamt of. In it, we are completely dissolved in what we're doing, so much that it feels like time is slowing down. We're so deeply in the present moment that we merge with activity itself, giving us the overwhelming feeling of being at one. In that state, there is no doubt. There are no stresses or pressures blocking us from achieving what we want. There's no inner voice criticizing every move we make. We are completely immersed in the task at hand. The state is not elusive. This state is not mythical. It's called the flow state. When we are in flow, we are adjusting to reality cues, like riding a flow wave. We experience the most desirable state we may find ourselves in. It's about total trust and total absence of fear, a sense of extreme happiness, connectedness, and harmony pervades into your being. You feel in tune with the task, moving with an accuracy and composure, and fully enjoy every second of it. Athletes call it runner's high, or being in the zone. Others call it a heightened state of consciousness. Buddhists call it nirvana. We call it the state of flow, a fluid stream of optimal perception and optimal experience, a state where everything just flows.
Right, I remember to unmute myself. So did you enjoy that state of flow video? And I think you agree with me, he's got such a relaxing voice. I love listening to his videos. And so here's a bit of a comment or a quotation from an anonymous composer. I wish we knew who this was. You are in an ecstatic state to such a point that you feel as though you almost don't exist. I have experienced this time and again. My hand seems devoid of myself and I have nothing to do with what is happening. I just sit there watching in a state of awe and wonderment, and the music just flows out of myself. So this is a quote, famous quote from an anonymous composer. And if you can just think yourself into the state of flow, how this is that relaxing, flowing time where you play music. And this is when the most beautiful compositions comes to pass. You can also think of the state of flow when you're running. I don't know who of you like exercise. So if you're running and you're getting in the zone, in the flow, and you're running, you can just feel that flow. And here's one of my favorite people, Albert Einstein, one of his quotes: the way to learn the most is when you are doing something with such enjoyment that you don't notice the time passes. And I don't know how many of you have experienced this. Please feel free to tell me in the comments. I would love to hear your state of flow experiences where you felt that it's as if time just passes, but you didn't realize it. And you're not in a state of caring, oh my, I'm already an hour past or whatever. It's as if you're just flowing, relaxing. And it's an amazing space to be in. And here's another one of Ayrton Senna, Formula One race car driver. I don't know who likes Formula One racing, but I'm a big fan. And I feel like I'm in the flow when I'm watching Formula One races. It's just, you can't take your eyes off of it. It is so amazing. So can you imagine what it feels like to be inside that race car? I wonder who has been inside a race car when it's going at that speed. I would love to feel what it feels like. And like Ayrton Senna said, I felt as though I was driving in a tunnel. I had reached such a high level of concentration that it was as if the car and I had become one. Can you imagine that feeling where you and the car become one? I think at that speed, it does feel like you are one. So anyway, okay, so we're going to take a look at the FlowCode, the roadmap to the flow state, because we're excited about the flow and learning about the flow, but we need to take a look at the roadmap. The FlowCode is a scientific foundation that decodes and maps the principles of flow and serves as the ultimate roadmap for creating and maintaining a state of flow. So again, Max is going to take us through a lesson. So let's just take a look at that lesson, what Max is going to teach us right now. Again, I'm going to mute myself and hopefully remember to unmute myself as soon as it starts playing. Okay, so let Max explain to you what the flow code is.
FlowCode lesson number 2. FlowCode presentation. FlowCode has been developed by world-class experts on psychology, kinesiology, and flow states, as well as many other areas of expertise, to create a revolutionary system of simplified principles, rules, and interventions that are proven to facilitate and sustain the state of flow in different circumstantial setups. Underlying principles, established formulas, and intervention channels are providing a scientific and practical backbone for understanding what flow state is and how it works. FlowCode decodes and maps the principles of flow and serves as the roadmap for creating and maintaining the optimal state, becoming a trait on an individual and group level. Advances in neurobiology have clarified our understanding of what is happening in our brains and bodies when we experience a range of mental states. This sharpened perspective allows us to understand in simple and rational terms the mechanics of transcendence. When we enter the flow state, we experience what is called a transient hypofrontality, areas in the prefrontal cortex that we seek to down-regulate in order to achieve flow are the seats of higher cognitive processing, where we distinguish the difference between self and other, our sense of time, our internal dialogue. This is why, when we are in flow, time seems to slow down. We merge with our consciousness. We become one with what we are doing. The research concludes that transient hypofrontality is the unifying feature of all altered states. FlowCode consists of a clear and scientifically supported topological framework of trigger channels and interventions that serve as tools to trigger all the needed conditions to assure optimal flow experience. The basic intention is to establish a mentally and emotionally safe perception framework that consists of different methods of dissolution, boosting the experience of flow to a whole new level. FlowCode maps all possible channels that can be used to create conditions for flow. Sensory flow alignment with vagal, sensomotoric, chemosensory, tactile, thermoreceptive, auditory, and visual flow alignment. Cognitive flow alignment entails intentions, rituals, recall triggers, and flow personality mindsets that create a perception framework in which flow can manifest itself and flourish. By adding social flow alignment triggers, FlowCode takes flow from individual to a group level. FlowCode also puts great importance to environmental flow alignment by reestablishing our lost connection to nature as a natural way to boost flow. The core essence of the FlowCode is a concept of flow personality, which is an essential cognitive framework that creates, builds, or sustains flow. Building up a flow personality is based on the progressive development of flow experience, establishing an internal machinery of fulfillment and joy, an experience of perception that is empowering, meaningful, and worthy. On the other hand, if we perceive reality mostly through fear, we become prone to vast varieties of ever-changing pathologies, dissatisfaction, dissonance, depression, and other mental disorders. FlowCode recognizes and deals with flow as a recurring wave and not a fixed state or episode waiting to happen now and then. In the body, as in nature, everything works in cycles. Flow is no different. In this way, it creates an immense breakthrough in understanding how to create and maintain the state of flow on a way more coherent neuroscientific basis and time-tested training principles. FlowCode ensures the optimal programming of the flow wave by implementing scientific training principles like balanced challenge, recovery, regularity, periodization, specificity, individuality, and variety principle to experience as much flow as possible in any given activity. It gives us a clear base ground for more effective approaches toward programming flow one can use daily in a variety of situations. By applying FlowCode principles, any activity can become an activity experienced in the state of flow. FlowCode principles are available to anyone who wishes to boost their overall potential and live with a meaningful and fulfilling mindset, experience freedom and transcend in ways never even dreamt of.
So that was so amazing and interesting. I hope you enjoyed that.
FlowCode lesson number
Thanks. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. That was amazing learning about the flow code. And so we're going to take a look at the topological mapping of the flow personality. In this flow chart, I'm going to zoom in a bit more for you just now. It represents 40 years of development of the flow state, science based on many research papers and time-proven concepts that was effectively put together by a team of experts from different fields of expertise. So it's all this combined knowledge, and it proves us with a clarifying overview of how to achieve the flow state and how flow evolves into a trait. So we're going to take a look at that lesson just now. I just want to show you the map. So you're not completely going to understand everything, but as we're going through this stuff, you will start to make out more of what's going on and so forth. So you've got the flow personality, then you've got the optimal flow state, you've got the social flow alignment, you've got the sensory flow alignment, the flow training principles, and the flow mindset alignment. And then we've got flow mode and we've got fear mode. So in flow mode, there are universal values that emerge from manifesting of flow is acceptance, accountability, confidence, fearlessness, joy, achievement. So this is the level of consciousness that we would like to live in all the time. And then fear-based values. Like I said, I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later, but it's not yet. The fear-based values that emerge from manifestation of fear is anger, discouragement, denial, hostility, regret, anxiety, all those negative feelings that we seem to experience so much in life. So flow helps us to get out of those emotions. So in my story that I'm going to tell you, it's a personal story of my own, and but it's going to be at the right point. So I'm not going to get too much into that right now. So let's just take a look at this flow code lesson about the flow personalities. So Max Flow is again going to explain to you how it works and what they are. Let's just wait for the internet. All right, so we're going to take a look at how to build a flow personality.
FlowCode Lesson 6, How to Build a Flow Personality. Hi there, Flow Riders. This is the voice of Max Flow. Now it's time to learn about the core structure of the flow code. We will go through the complete mapping of the flow personality and outline basic components needed to effectively facilitate its gradual buildup. Basic intention is to create a personality that is as fluid as possible in any given circumstances and enables one to flow through life in a meaningful and fulfilling fashion. Deep down on the level of body chemistry, there are two distinctive extremes of how we perceive reality. It is a binary game, or fear versus trust, stress versus relax. So, in essence, everything boils down to this generalized feeling that we experience in the present moment. Either you feel and act on the world in a fluid flow mode fashion, engaging task-positive network, where our thoughts, actions, and resulting outcomes are coherent and meaningful, or you act out of fear, engaging default mode networks, in a perpetual survival mode with all of its accompanying anxieties and negativities. Each of the neurochemical extremes and everything in between is a driving or motivational force for different needs and values that arise based on either of the states. It is a straightforward intuitive that a positive flow mode will spawn universal values that you can observe on the left and that fear mode is a sure-shot breeding ground for fear-based values that will inflict a heavy burden on overall perception while hindering individuals' cognitive abilities to a survivable minimum. The FlowCode, roadmap to the flow state. The system identifies 4 main channels through which science and research have proven to positively impact the experience of flow and contribute to long-term fulfillment. FlowCode interventions are built on these channels, giving us a clear and effective way to program and facilitate the state of flow in a more controlled and deliberate manner. These 4 main channels for interventions are sensory, cognitive, social, and environmental flow alignment. Sensory flow alignment, influence through perception senses. Any activity that embodies or creates incoming stimuli perceived by the body is a driving force to induce hyperfrontality, while all senses are included in designing flow-inducing interventions. Deep embodiment is a prerequisite to experience the state of flow. Sensory flow alignment channel recognizes vagal flow alignment with breathing and gas exchange control and manipulation. Auditory flow alignment using sound, voice, and music to facilitate the state of flow. Chemosensory flow alignment pertaining blood, chemoreception, smell, and taste. Visual flow alignment includes uplifting visual stimulus triggers in different formats. Thermoreceptive flow alignment uses different temperature states to trigger flow. Tactile flow alignment, touch and pressure sensations to drive the mind into the deep now. Sensomotoric flow alignment, based on movement-related effects. Social flow alignment, influence through social group context. Humans are social creatures. It's just more fun to do anything in a group. It keeps the motivation going, and it boosts the experience of an individual flow. So doing it in a group will help you get into and stay in the flow. Social flow alignment channel includes the following triggers for flow. Directed playfulness, equal participation, balanced group challenge, group communication flow, shared group goals, focused group attention, shared culture. Environmental flow alignment, influence through enclosing environment. Being in nature, especially near water, makes us healthier and happier, reduces stress, and brings us peace. The electromagnetic resonance of body will be affected by the Earth's natural electromagnetic field, and eventually the two will resonate harmonically. Cognitive flow alignment, influence through internal cognitive activity, ability to recall images and impressions and being able to modify them to experience more flow-prone mindset is an excellent source for flow experience. It is essential in terms of creating and maintaining a basic focus to seek out and experience the state of flow. Cognitive flow alignments consist of intention flow alignment, ritual flow alignment, flow recall alignments, flow mindset alignment. Flow mindset alignment is a key part of the overall flow personality build up, as it includes the perception changing mindsets that are geared towards the cognitive reframing of one's views, goals, and intentions. These mindsets sum into awe, creator, transpersonal, gratitude, growth, playful, observer mindset. Cognitive reframing results in a manifested flow personality, where we are now harvesting the benefits of conditioned flow response, becoming a fluid, integrated, and mindful individual. So far, we have identified key components in creating flow personality. A cognitive frame or mode of perception that enables flow to manifest. Think of it as clearing the conduits in which flow can really flow. Now, to be able to actually experience the state of flow on a daily basis, as either short microflows or manifesting itself in a long-term overall fulfillment, we're now ready to look into the optimal flow setup, the rules you need to take into account that are conducive to flow. Beside the already mentioned flow mindset, we need to be clear about the basic intention, to seek out flow by ensuring all further needed conditions for it. Deep embodiment, immersed, focused attention, clear goals, perception feedback, and by all means, the most important one, the balance challenge. These requirements for optimal flow are heavily researched and proven ways of how to ensure flow experience each time over in every specific situation that we might find ourselves in. All of the FlowCode programs and interventions are based on well-established training principles, ensuring optimal and programmed training of the flow to be able to recall the state on demand. By frequently entering into the flow state, flow personality gradually gets internalized and adopted as a primary way how we perceive and interact with the world. It evolves and shines through multitude of cognitive layers, transforming perception of one's existence from boring and taken for granted into a fascinating one across the spectrum. Experience of flow can only be fully utilized if there is a cognitive framework that supports it. We are what we repeat, from a state to a trait. Let's consider the concept of flow personality as a cognitive perception filter that perpetuates focus and energy, builds up a different quality of thoughts and emotions, couples emotions with the mind, creating a strong feeling of being in the zone, connected and full of energy, a state of character that is uplifting and powerful. Once flow personality is deeply anchored, it gives rise to the feeling of value of every second of every day, incepts a deep zest for life, enables perfect fluidity in actions and responses, coupled with universal values that are spontaneously arising from the experience itself. It becomes a forefront of creating a new paradigm, a new perception of the world that manifests itself on an individual as well as on a collective level of humanity itself.
So I hope you enjoyed that lesson. It is so amazing. And if you think about what
FlowCode Lesson 6.
What he said about the being in groups, I'm going to tell you a little bit later about group program that I've got. Is when we are in groups, we tend to be much more in flow. But why do you think that is? I think it's because we have people holding us accountable and people guiding us, helping us, because we all go through times where we're not in flow, where we feel overwhelmed and we walk in fear instead of in flow. And so, yeah, moving in groups is just so much more supportive, so much more helpful. And then I did take you through the chart, so I'm not going to do that again. And then, as you saw, that Max Flow was talking about the transient hyperfrontality. And this is so amazing. Is if you look at the brain, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the combinations, the everything, how it's built together, and the waves and the states of the brain, you learn so much more about why you do things the way you do them, the subconscious mind, all these things. So it is so awesome to be in a flow state. So if you look at the prefrontal cortex in the normal state and you look at it in the flow state, it is so amazing, the difference. And I'm going to play this video for you again, where Max Flow is going to explain to you a bit more about the prefrontal cortex and all those things, how this all works together and helps to bring you into the flow. And so he's going to talk about transient hyperfrontality.
FlowCode Lesson 7. Transient hyperfrontality. Hi and welcome back. This is Max Flow, and we're going to explain in detail the most important aspect of hacking into the state of flow. Advances in neurobiology have clarified our understanding of what is happening in our brains and bodies when we experience a range of mental states. This sharpened perspective allows us to understand in simple and rational terms the mechanics of transcendence. The vast scientific research clearly shows that mental states, commonly referred to as altered states of consciousness, are triggered by the temporary downregulation of the prefrontal cortex. Deactivate to activate the optimal state. When we enter the flow state, we experience what is called a transient hypofrontality. Transient, meaning temporary. Hypo is the opposite of hyper, meaning to slow down or to deactivate, while frontality ascribes to the prefrontal cortex. Areas in the prefrontal cortex that we seek to down-regulate in order to achieve flow are the seats of higher cognitive processing, where we distinguish the difference between self and other, our sense of time, our integral dialogue. Transient hypofrontality occurs when neural activation in the prefrontal cortex needed to calculate higher brain functions is sufficiently reduced. So you have no ability to extract yourself from the here and now. This is why when we are in flow, time seems to slow down. We merge with the consciousness. We become one with what we are doing. It is the same experience that Tibetan monks, trained meditators, or top performers feel. The experience all of us felt on many instances in our lives when everything ran smoothly and effortlessly. Therefore, transient hypofrontality is the base for all altered states of consciousness and a doorway to the highest quality of mental experience, a doorway to the state of flow. These findings postulate that we need to deactivate to fully activate and experience the state of flow. There is vast supportive evidence from psychological and neuroscientific studies of dreaming, endurance running, meditation, daydreaming, hypnosis, and various drug-induced states. The research concludes that transient hypofrontality is a unifying feature of all altered states, and the uniqueness of each state is the result of the different engagement of various frontal brain circuits. This is also the reason that flow experience is, like everything else, a subject to fluctuation and change. Quick comparison between normal and flow state. Normal state. In today's reality, our brains are clogged with an overflow of information. With over 70,000 thoughts per day, this state brings mostly tons of repetitive and unproductive daydreaming, with an unusually rampant inner critic. Analyzing and questioning our behavior takes most of our mental bandwidth. Rehearsed performance is hindered, and we are prone to slow reactions. The experience of life is generally fearful because our mind is either burdened with the past or anticipates future calamities. Your brain operates mostly in the spectrum of beta waves. We operate in the default mode network. We are on unconscious repeat, questioning and doubting ourselves or being stuck in a fixated thinking. Flow state. The brain is freed from mental clutter, thus giving us more mental bandwidth, with which we can assign to the experience of flow. In flow, we are gaining quicker reactions, improved creativity, and productivity. In flow, we are fearless in the present moment, where everything flows seamlessly and in harmony. Brain operates mostly in the spectrum of alpha-theta waves. We operate in the task-oriented network. New ideas and flawless performance emerges. The hallmark of FlowCode interventions is about the modification of these behavioral and cognitive functions of the prefrontal cortex. The goal of FlowCode interventions is to trigger the state of flow by gaining ability to effectively down-regulate the activity of the prefrontal cortex when needed and on demand. Without this ability, there is just no sufficient mental space in which you could possibly experience flow. A sufficiently down-regulated prefrontal cortex is therefore a primary condition for flow that needs to be met.
So
FlowCode, Lesson 7.
He just wants to explain. He loves explaining, Max. So did you enjoy that? It is so amazing. I love learning this stuff. And so as we move in a state of flow, we are in a natural flow state where we feel happy, we live in gratitude, we live in a flow personality. But yeah, sometimes we move out of the flow personality. So let's just take a look at how does it feel to be in the flow state, and then what is the characteristics and the optimal perception of a flow personality. Um, if you look at this chart, it's being at 1, no fear, contained inner critic, oh, that guy, it's just hush, hush, little inner critic, playful perception, active flow control, deep immersion, and time distortion. We're going to go deeper into each one of these, but let Max take us through the flow personality. Just want to close some of these tabs. And yes, like I said, I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later about me and my flow happening. So let's take a look at this lesson, the description of the flow personality. You're going to find this amazing, I'm sure.
FlowCode lesson number 5, description of flow personality. Hey there, this is Max Flow. In the following lesson, we will learn how flow state becomes a personality trait, how it feels to perceive the world through the lens of a flow personality, and the clear and straightforward advantages it brings. How does it feel to be a flow personality? Building up a flow personality is based on the progressive development of flow experience, establishing an internal machinery of fulfillment and joy, an experience of perception that is empowering, meaningful, and worthy. State of flow breaks bonds of delusional perception of self being separated, extending one's perception beyond boundaries of the body and acknowledging one as an inherent part of the whole. It brings awareness of interaction and empowerment based upon the ability to be in command of your perception. It brings meaning as the alignment with flow creates a feeling of being part of something larger than the separated self. Alignment with flow brings awareness that we don't control, but ride the flow. And the flow is inevitably leading us to an optimal and joyful experience. We get ourselves tuned up with the frequency of the environment while building an important anchored feeling of the flow that is a useful tool to boost up and achieve ever deeper intensity of flow experience more frequently. Being at one. We merge with what we are doing, which gives us the overwhelming feeling of being at one. One with the task at hand, one with our actions and emotions, one with everything. Everything feels connected. In flow, or deep focused attention, this portion of the brain is less active, so we can no longer separate self from others. Being one with the waves, being one with the mountain, being one with the surroundings, being one with the universe, as if there is no separation. Time distortion. In flow, we get an altered perception of time. Time can either feel condensed, 2 hours feel like 10 minutes, or expanded. Seconds feel like minutes. Researchers have found that time is calculated throughout the brain, especially in the prefrontal cortex part of the brain. That is why being in flow feels timeless. We lose track of time. So as we perform in flow, we become more subconscious in our actions. We blur out our perception of the past and the future, and in doing so, we are pulled deeper into what researchers are calling the deep now, deep immersion. We are completely involved in what we are doing. We do not feel separated from our actions. We are one with our performance. Our attention is focused. Part of the ability to immerse oneself in a subject is a matter of concentration, which is not easy to do in today's world, where so many things constantly stimulate us. We are focusing on the task at hand. Multitasking is out. Active flow control. The more flow is practiced, the deeper and more profound the feeling of it becomes. It gives us an overwhelming sense of intentional management over the situation. It supports motivation, and whatever produces flow becomes its own reward. It means we gain an active control of the flow. That gives us a powerful sense of being able to manage our experiences and their interpretations, manage our perception in general. By having exact step-by-step tools at our disposal in the form of flow trigger practices and easily applicable rules for external flow requirements, we can control, amplify, and maintain the flow wave. Playfulness. Have you ever experienced that in a playful, emotionally safe setting? You seem to easily manage tasks, whilst when being observed by an authority or when in competition, you fail to perform at the same level. Well, that is the negative consequence and a limitation of competitive mindset and over-engaged prefrontal cortex. Neuroscience has proven time and again that the best learning environment is an emotionally safe one. Emerging into any task with playful approach creates a feeling of trust and creativity. Our brain is willing to open synapses and to explore the best options, to learn and then make the memory imprint. Such a mental approach, the stay and play mode of being, produces a positive hormonal response, which you're likely to seek more often. Contained inner critic. Mind that is overburdened with uncontrolled daydreaming cannot help but develop anxieties and fears based on playing out scenarios of the future or ponder on past experiences. It is a useful skill to a certain degree, since the brain has inherent functions of keeping us alive and seek, recognize, and avoid dangers. But there is a point when we start to experience negative consequences of this gift. With modern information overload, we are spending more time in the state where cognitive dissonances based on fear are resulting in negative and pathological combinations without an end, creating an ever-looping stream of irrelevant mental clutter. In flow, our self-monitoring zone is less active. We are not burdened by it, and it doesn't take up mental bandwidth. We are less critical and more positive. In flow, we limit our sense of self, and all of the worries and concerns drift away. Absent of contained fear. Fear is our oldest emotion. It comes from our evolution. It's based on survival needs. It's a fight or flight response. Nowadays, it's more fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing something, fear of being judged, and so on. Fear only exists in the past and in the future. We all live with the anticipation of fear and anxieties, but fear doesn't exist in the present moment, in the deep now. Fear is absent or contained. We are too involved to be concerned about failing. We act spontaneously without any fear. Everything seems to be going our way. We just know what has to be done and just do it. Manifested characteristics of a person with flow personality. A person with flow personality will experience more flow than other type of personalities. They are more likely to show higher self-esteem and lower anxiety. They are more likely to report active commitments to their lives and enjoy everyday general activities. Flow personality individuals also report a greater sense of fulfillment and a greater sense of satisfaction in their lives and lead a fulfilling life, despite low social status or financial rewards. They apply self-actualization, meaning they have a clear advantage in realizing the development of their talents to the fullest extent. They have a positive view of their lives and lead harmonious lives, while they need less material possessions, luxury, and power of fame, because so much of what they do is already rewarding. Individuals with the flow personality also have the ability to detect and utilize a challenge skill balance, including a greater ability to manage the complex balance between the play of finding the challenge and the work of building the skill. They most likely outperform non-flow prone people in any situation. They have better interpersonal relationships and greater general well-being than extrinsically motivated people. They are able to enter the flow state even while doing things that many people consider boring. The flow personality lives a fully immersed life, experiencing a deep sense of purpose. The flow personality can also be described as having the following manifested traits: persistent. A person with flow personality remains on course in spite of difficulty or conflict. Curious. A person with flow personality has a limitless desire to learn and discover. Low self-centered. When being in the flow state, the sense of self is being lost. Open to experience and challenges. Individuals with the flow personality expand their possibilities, learn from others, adapt to new situations, and adopt new ideas. So they have a higher likelihood of taking on challenges while playing on the edge of abilities. Positive. People with the flow personality have low fear of failure. Playful approach keeps them in a positive, fearless state. Internally driven. People with the flow personality have a high rate of performing acts of selfless reasons. They are less influenced by money, prestige, or other extrinsic factors.
So did you enjoy that? And isn't that the state where we would all love to be? That state of flow, that state of no fear, no inner critic, playful, happy. And so if we take a look at being at one, is we merge with what we are doing, giving us the overwhelming feeling of being in one, like we had with the Formula One quote, where it's like becoming one with the car, one with the task at hand, one with our actions and emotions, and one with everything, as if there is no separation, where everything just feels connected. And that is a place of peace, a place of happiness, and a place of contentment. So how does it feel to be in the flow? In the flow, we merge with what we are doing. That gives us the overwhelming feeling of being at one. One with the task at hand, one with our actions and emotions, and one with everything. Everything just feels connected. So it's also a state where we have no fear. Fear only exists in the past and in the future. Fear doesn't exist in the present moment. And in the deep now, present moment, fear is absent or contained. While we are in flow, we observe observed in an activity that we're busy with. We are too involved to be concerned about failing. We are only aware about what is relevant to the task. So this week, from Monday until about Wednesday, I was in a state of not flow. So normally I do my flow exercises, I do my flow meditations and everything. And so I'm normally in a state of flow. And I think that's why I always have this peaceful way of talking, this peaceful way of doing things. And because I'm naturally in a state of flow. But so what happened is since Monday, so those who have been following me for a while, I keep joking about this, that I managed to delete my entire website. A year of work, a year's work, whoop, gone, just like that, click of a button, gone. And I had to contact Namecheap. They fixed it for me and everything was restored, but there's still, up till now, there's still some stuff that's missing. So like someone will let me know the download button is gone, or something like that. So then I have to go fix it again, and then I struggle to fix it. And so I'm not a technical person. I don't understand this stuff, although I do it. I don't understand what I'm doing. So I'm just doing it, And so ever since Saturday, actually, it started Saturday, where I struggled the whole day, where my Freedom to Journey to Freedom sign-up page didn't go through to Sendio, and everything wasn't connecting, and there was something wrong. It wasn't working. And when I tested it, it was working, but then all of a sudden it wasn't working. So I contacted the support and they let me know it might be this and that, but then our power went off and I don't work on Sundays. And so Sunday I didn't go back, and then so I struggled the entire Saturday to fix this button, and then Monday I continued. But then when I continued, that button didn't want to work. Other things I did, I tried to figure out a Facebook ad for something, and I tried to, I've got this course that I'm busy creating, which is in itself overwhelming and a lot of work. And then I had to put up my blog post, and I had, so do you see, it's all this stuff I had to do. So where was I going? To the future, all this stuff I have to do. So I was starting to draw anxiety. Then I started to not only live in the future, I started to go to the past as well, where, okay, I've been working online since 2012. That's 10 years. So I'm supposed to be successful already. I'm supposed to make lots of sales. I'm supposed to be in the top achievers and success people in life. I mean, 10 years. That's a long time. It's a decade of working online, building websites, doing freelance work, doing voiceovers, doing video creation, doing print on demand shop, dropship shop. So all this stuff I've been doing over 10 years, I was supposed to be massively successful. So I started looking at the past, unsuccessful, future, fear. Okay, so I haven't made money in the past. How am I going to make money in the future? How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to? So what was I doing? I was going out of the state of flow and into the state of fear, anxiety, and depression and all that stuff. And then I put up a post in Coaching Masters, which I'm part of, and I'm so grateful for those people. I joined them last year already after I did some certifications with them as well. And I put up a post there, and the support was so amazing because I felt also like I was standing alone. I'm doing this struggle all alone. And then I realized, but I'm not alone. And the people who sent me DMs, who shared some advice with me on things to do and so forth. But then during this time, so I was for 3 days, I was like in a state of fear, anxiety, depression. I was crying a lot. I wasn't really talking to my kids. And so it was really a difficult time. And because of the mindset I was in, and I had to, normally I get myself out of that mindset very quickly. It's easy and fast to get myself out of that mindset. But at that stage, I couldn't get myself out of that mindset. And even though I was in this mindset, I still did my meditations in the morning. I still did my FlowCode exercises. And so I was still actually in flow with this mindset. So I still came to my office. I still created my post for my website. I still created the stuff that I normally create. It was just that I was doing it out of fear, out of anxiety. But I still continued to flow through these things with that wrong mindset. So we want to be in a state of flow more. And so as we're moving forward, let's just take a look at the other states. So in a deep now, there is no fear. So because we are in now, in this moment, then there is no fear. So can you see, like I explained with those 3 days, how the past and the future, there's fear for the future, anxiety, and looking at the past, that inner critic, just listening to what he said about me and Yoshi. And so that brought me out of that anxiety. So in now, in the state of now, right now, where we are now, there is no fear. And so this little inner critic is our self-monitoring zone. In flow, it is less active. So we normally don't hear, when we're in flow, we don't hear that inner critic. We are not burdened by it, and it doesn't take up mental space or bandwidth, and we are less critical and more positive. We limit our sense of self, and all of our worries and concerns drift away. And that's where we want to be, where we're not concerned about the future or the past, and we just move in the state of flow. and not listening to that inner critic. And this is kind of a fun quote. A mind that's overburdened with uncontrolled daydreaming cannot help but develop anxieties and fears based on playing out scenarios of the future or ponder on past experience, like I've just explained. It is a useful skill in itself because it helps you to plan for the future or learn from your mistakes. But there is a point when we start to experience negative consequences. Like I was looking at the negative things in the past instead of, wow, I learned to do all these things, all these abilities. And like Lewis's comment actually helped me to just realize again all these skills I've learned moving up till where I am now. And in flow, we are less critical and more positive. In flow, we limit our sense of self and all of the worries and concerns drift away. So that's where we want to be. We want to be in a state of flow most of the time. In deep immersion, we act with razor sharp focus. Our confidence is overwhelmed with certainty, and our body and mind adapts to the situation effortlessly. We are completely involved in what we are doing. We do not feel separated from our actions, and we are one with our performance. So let's take a look again how it feels to be in the flow state with deep immersion. So why is a black hole so powerful? Because it is focused. So flow requires focus. Then time distortion. In flow, we get an altered perception of time. Time can either feel condensed, like 2 hours feel like 10 minutes, just like Max explained it, or expanded, seconds feel like minutes. Time is calculated throughout the brain, especially in the prefrontal cortex. Being in flow feels timeless. We lose track of time and we become more subconscious in our actions, and we blur out our perception of the past and the future. So being in time zone in flow is being in flow feels timeless and we lose track of time. Share with me a time when you had this thing where you were just flowing through time and you didn't realize how time went past. I'm normally that way when I'm in a conversation with a coach. It's as if I don't even want to look at the time, which is a bad thing actually, because we are supposed to watch our time. And we become more subconscious of our actions. We blur out our perception of the past and the future. And in doing so, we are pulled deeper into the deep now. And let's take a look at active flow control. The more flow is practiced, the deeper and more profound the feeling of it becomes. So the more you practice this, the better you get at it. It gives us an overwhelming sense of internal management over the situation, our experiences and their interpretations, manage our perception in general. Trying to control events just burns our perception with anxiety. So when we try to be in control, to control the events and things, it just gives us anxiety. And by deactivating from anxiety to control events, we actually gain more sense of control and riding the flow wave with joyful fearlessness. The only game is played around whether we are able to put ourselves back into flow and back into alignment that produces optimal state and optimal outcomes. And the more flow is practiced, the deeper and more profound the feeling of it becomes. And then the playful mindset, playfulness. Emerging into any task with a playful approach creates a feeling of trust and creativity. Being playful is being at peace with the environment and yourself. And it's letting go of yourself. And this is when you become yourself, the person you were meant to be. And the activities in the flow are done for our own sake and the enjoyment and the exercise that they provide. So how does it look to be in the playful flow state? You can see that guy is in the flow playful mode. Emerging into any task with a playful approach creates a feeling of trust and creativity. Being playful is being at peace with the environment and yourself. And it's about letting yourself go. Just enjoy it. Normally, if you are creative, when you are busy with a creative project like painting or singing, or when you're doing things like that, you are just moving in flow. Flow is in creativity. And now let's take a look at the flow personality alignment. So flow personality triggers boosts flow personality growth, creating an optimal cognitive framework in which flow experience can flourish. The goal is to establish an overarching worldview paradigm, a perception filter, creating a reference frame in which flow manifests itself in all its potential. The experience of flow can only be fully utilized if there is cognitive framework that supports it. So you need a cognitive framework that supports it. And so we're going to take a look at how we can be internally driven. Let's just wait for Max Flow to show up. Okay, so he's going to take us through a description of the flow personality.
FlowCode lesson number 5, description of flow personality. Hey there, this is Max Flow. In the following lesson, we will learn how flow state becomes a personality trait, how it feels to perceive the world through the lens of a flow personality, and the clear and straightforward advantages it brings. How does it feel to be a flow personality? Building up a flow personality is based on the progressive development of flow experience, establishing an internal machinery of fulfillment and joy, an experience of perception that is empowering, meaningful, and worthy. State of flow breaks bonds of delusional perception of self being separated, extending one's perception beyond boundaries of the body and acknowledging one as an inherent part of the whole. It brings awareness of interaction and empowerment based upon the ability to be in command of your perception. It brings meaning, as the alignment with flow creates a feeling of being part of something larger than the separated self. Alignment with flow brings awareness that we don't control, but ride the flow. And the flow is inevitably leading us to an optimal and joyful experience. We get ourselves tuned up with the frequency of the environment while building an important anchored feeling of the flow that is a useful tool to boost up and achieve ever deeper intensity of flow experience more frequently. Being at one. We merge with what we are doing, which gives us the overwhelming feeling of being at one. One with the task at hand, one with our actions and emotions, one with everything. Everything feels connected. In flow, or deep focused attention, this portion of the brain is less active, so we can no longer separate self from others. Being one with the waves, being one with the mountain, being one with the surroundings, being one with the universe, as if there is no separation. Time distortion. In flow, we get an altered perception of time. Time can either feel condensed, 2 hours feel like 10 minutes, or expanded. Seconds feel like minutes. Researchers have found that time is calculated throughout the brain, especially in the prefrontal cortex part of the brain. That is why being in flow feels timeless. We lose track of time. So as we perform in flow, we become more subconscious in our actions. We blur out our perception of the past and the future, and in doing so, we are pulled deeper into what researchers are calling the deep now, deep immersion. We are completely involved in what we are doing. We do not feel separated from our actions. We are one with our performance. Our attention is focused. Part of the ability to immerse oneself in a subject is a matter of concentration. which is not easy to do in today's world, where so many things constantly stimulate us. We are focusing on the task at hand. Multitasking is out. Active flow control. The more flow is practiced, the deeper and more profound the feeling of it becomes. It gives us an overwhelming sense of intentional management over the situation. It supports motivation, and whatever produces flow becomes its own reward. It means we gain an active control of the flow. That gives us a powerful sense of being able to manage our experiences and their interpretations, manage our perception in general. By having exact step-by-step tools at our disposal in the form of flow trigger practices and easily applicable rules for external flow requirements, we can control, amplify, and maintain the flow wave. Playfulness. Have you ever experienced that in a playful, emotionally safe setting? You seem to easily manage tasks, whilst when being observed by an authority or when in competition, you fail to perform at the same level. Well, that is the negative consequence and a limitation of competitive mindset and over-engaged prefrontal cortex. Neuroscience has proven time and again that the best learning environment is an emotionally safe one. Emerging into any task with playful approach creates a feeling of trust and creativity. Our brain is willing to open synapses and to explore the best options, to learn and then make the memory imprint. Such a mental approach, the stay and play mode of being, produces a positive hormonal response, which you're likely to seek more often. Contained inner critic. Mind that is overburdened with uncontrolled daydreaming cannot help but develop anxieties and fears based on playing out scenarios of the future or ponder on past experiences. It is a useful skill to a certain degree, since the brain has inherent functions of keeping us alive and seek, recognize, and avoid dangers. But there is a point when we start to experience negative consequences of this gift. With modern information overload, we are spending more time in the state where cognitive dissonances based on fear are resulting in negative and pathological combinations without an end, creating an ever-looping stream of irrelevant mental clutter. In flow, our self-monitoring zone is less active. We are not burdened by it, and it doesn't take up mental bandwidth. We are less critical and more positive. In flow, we limit our sense of self, and all of the worries and concerns drift away. Absent of contained fear. Fear is our oldest emotion. It comes from our evolution. It's based on survival needs. It's a fight or flight response. Nowadays, it's more fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing something, fear of being judged, and so on. Fear only exists in the past and in the future. We all live with the anticipation of fear and anxieties, but fear doesn't exist in the present moment, in the deep now. Fear is absent or contained. We are too involved to be concerned about failing. We act spontaneously without any fear. Everything seems to be going our way. We just know what has to be done and just do it. Manifested characteristics of a person with flow personality. A person with flow personality will experience more flow than other type of personalities. They are more likely to show higher self-esteem and lower anxiety. They are more likely to report active commitments to their lives and enjoy everyday general activities. Flow personality individuals also report a greater sense of fulfillment and a greater sense of satisfaction in their lives and lead a fulfilling life, despite low social status or financial rewards. They apply self-actualization, meaning they have a clear advantage in realizing the development of their talents to the fullest extent. They have a positive view of their lives and lead harmonious lives, while they need less material possessions, luxury, and power of fame. because so much of what they do is already rewarding. Individuals with the flow personality also have the ability to detect and utilize a challenge skill balance, including a greater ability to manage the complex balance between the play of finding the challenge and the work of building the skill. They most likely outperform non-flow prone people in any situation. They have better interpersonal relationships and greater general well-being than extrinsically motivated people. They are able to enter the flow state even while doing things that many people consider boring. The flow personality lives a fully immersed life, experiencing a deep sense of purpose. The flow personality can also be described as having the following manifested traits. Persistent. A person with flow personality remains on course in spite of difficulty or conflict. Curious. A person with flow personality has a limitless desire to learn and discover. Low self-centered. When being in the flow state, the sense of self is being lost. Open to experience and challenges. Individuals with the flow personality expand their possibilities, learn from others, adapt to new situations, and adopt new ideas. So they have a higher likelihood of taking on challenges while playing on the edge of abilities. Positive. People with the flow personality have low fear of failure. Playful approach keeps them in a positive, fearless state. Internally driven. People with the flow personality have a high rate of performing acts of selfless reasons. They are less influenced by money, prestige, or other extrinsic factors.
Yeah, so that was so amazing, is to be in that flow alignment. And if I think about this time that I went through with these 3 days of just beating myself down with past and future, I was still moving forward because of all the flow triggers and exercises that I'm doing. And even in those 3 days, I decided I'm going to do this webinar, and I scheduled it, I created the sign-up form, and I did everything in that time. So still moving forward in spite of feeling that way. And that is where we want to be. So the observer mindset is very interesting. It's a very different mental process than a normal mode of operation. Observer mindset is defined as the perception that arises from focused attention on observing breathing, emotions, and thoughts. And then creating an intentional observer means to develop a number of neural pathways in the brain that act as a monitoring system. Becoming the observer is a vital step to changing our behavior and emotional reactions. So Max is going to tell us a bit more about the observer mindset, and because I love the brain and mindset stuff so much, I love this, and I hope that you love this too, and that you are going to enjoy this lesson about the observer mindset. Just wait, because this is in my ProFlow Hub.
FlowCode lesson number 32, Observer Mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how observer mindset influences our overall perception and the fluidity of our experience. Becoming the observer is a vital step in changing our behavior and emotional reactions. Being an observer means to develop a number of new neural pathways in the brain that act as a monitoring system. It gives our mind a new way of creating and maintaining the state of flow. Observer mindset is more than just thinking about ourselves. Being an observer of ourselves requires that we are aware of very subtle emotions, impulses, feelings in our body, and behaviors associated with it. This state of mind is a very different mental process than in our normal mode of operation. The observer mindset is defined as the perception that arises from focused attention on observing breathing, emotions, and thoughts. coupled with the active intention to seek and sustain the flow. It becomes a front line for the creation of a full-fledged flow personality, making it a permanent mode of operation and state of being. The observer mindset gives us something like an outside perspective on our own experience. We can watch our own mind, our reactions, our emotions, our behaviors, almost from the perspective of another person. That is tremendously useful feedback to have, and it leads to tremendous personal growth. It detaches us from one of the biggest obstacles in flow, taking ourselves too seriously. Being too serious about who we are and what we ought to be, and these common false identifications with our momentary status, is a precursor to a diminished flow experience. Flow can only really happen in a detached perception of the illusionary self. It is of immense importance that we identify not with the endless and ever-changing stream of thoughts and impressions that run around in our heads, but to identify with the observer, the consciousness itself. Too serious and fixed identification with fleeting thoughts bring on the potential for developing a pathological maze of internal experience. For example, taking our social identifications too seriously lead to constant suffering at the hands of volatile situations we may encounter. The observer becomes a new identification anchor that protects us against false identifications with events, objects, or even our numerous daily thoughts. Fixed instead of fluid identification is a basic deficiency of the mind, an illusional perception that limits us tremendously. Only when we establish the observer as the only pathology-free identification of who we are able to experience the full potential of the flow and start enjoying our experiences. Every moment we are a new identity that existed only for that one single moment and will never manifest itself again. No experience can truly be replicated, as well as no identity can ever reflect an ever-changing nature of our existence. Observer mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention: I am the observer.
And so
FlowCode lesson number.
if you go deeper into the observer mindset and things, you will realize that sometimes we think we are our feelings and we think we are our thoughts. But you're not your thoughts and you're not your feelings. You must take note of them, but you are not your feelings and your thoughts. Taking note of them is also important to help move you forward. So that is why it is so important. So it is of immense importance that we identify not with the endless and ever-changing stream of thoughts and impressions that run around in our heads, but to identify with the observer, the consciousness itself. The observer becomes a new identification anchor that protects us against false identifications with events, objects, or even our fleeting thoughts. So like Paul said in the Bible, take hold of your thoughts. There's a reason why he said it. Playful mindset. This is the most fun one. So the playful mindset is a mode of perception that brings the biggest satisfaction. Such an environment, the stay and play mode of being, produces a positive hormonal response which we are likely to seek more often. And because when you're playful, you vibrate at a high frequency, you draw so much more to yourself. Our brain is willing to learn if we provide safe and challenging circumstances that will arouse our learning capabilities. So let's take a look at the playful mindset as Max Flow is going to explain a bit more about the playful mindset. Okay, just waiting for the net.
FlowCode lesson number 36, Playful Mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how playful mindset eliminates obstacles to flow by approaching every situation with ease and openness. The core essence, play, is playfulness. Emerging into any task with a playful approach creates a feeling of trust and creativity. Being playful is being at peace with the environment and oneself. It's about letting oneself go. When people are playing, they reveal their true selves. To the contrary as well, when playing, one can mimic whatever the idea is of play. A child can become a doctor in a split second, saving the lives of many in his playroom. It is important to trust in oneself and others to the point where one can be relaxed and playfully released into co-creation of the world of play. The playful mindset is a mode of perception that brings the biggest satisfaction. When one is playful, one is instantly integrated with oneself and with the activity. We are immersed in the reality in a way that contributes constructively to the beauty of life. When we are playful, we are rewarded with an inexhaustible source of energy of life that lies within us. Activities in flow are done for their own sake, for the enjoyment and experience they provide, like work, art, music, or sports. These goal-oriented activities can easily become ends in themselves and enjoyed for their own sake. Our brain is willing to learn if we provide safe and challenging circumstances that will arouse our learning capabilities. Such an environment, the stay and play mode of being, produces a positive hormonal response, which an individual is likely to seek more often. It is the way that nature has provided us with the safe testing of our abilities in order to survive. It's also the way to sense the true power of being alive. When one is lost in play, one has found an endless fountain of life energy. The playful mindset can be sufficiently summarized within the following intention. I have a playful approach towards everything I do. The real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play. Alan Watts, philosopher.
Yeah, so being in a playful mindset is so important, and we tend to lose that as we grow, move into adult life and have all the responsibilities and things. But we should also stay in a playful mindset because it just brings joy. And like I said, it vibrates at a higher frequency than sadness or anxiety or fear. So the real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. I've got a program, Mindfulness, which is awesome, that helps you to understand the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play. So the all mindset is also very, very important. As we're moving through these mindsets, you will experience that they are important parts of being a flow personality. The all mindset provides the basic energy to sustain flow by triggering the initial zest for life. Nothing is more mysterious and amazing than the simple fact that anything exists, we exist, and we are aware of ourselves. To build fascination towards any experience, the simple solution is to adopt looking through the eyes of a child approach, meaning to look at things as we have never seen them before. And I love saying we tend to talk down on ourselves, and we tend to look at our bodies, our physical bodies, and think, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that, my nose is too big, my ears are too big, or I've got wobbly ears, or whatever. We tend to look at those things and then downgrade ourselves, and that's not necessary. This body we have is a gift to walk on this earth with. It is a gift from God for you to experience life on this earth. If you didn't have your body to walk in, what would you do? What would you be? No one would be able to see you, touch you, talk to you. So you've got to be grateful for this body. And that's part of the all mindset. But we're going to go into the grateful mindset a little bit later. So let me not just jump ahead. So we're going to take a look at this lesson as Max is going to explain to us more about the awe mindset.
FlowCode, lesson number 33, awe mindset. Let's further explore the possibilities of how awe mindset brings childish fascination and galvanizes our perception. As with everything, we are only to perceive experiences in the context of polarization, to compare two things or events, make a value judgment, or in any other way become aware of them. We calculate the perceived differences between the two, whether it's a decision to stay exposed to the sun or move to the shade, which is a polarized binary yes/no decision. Not hot means to stay. Too hot means to move to shade. Or in our judgment on anything we do in life, we compare our decision versus the other decision, calculate consequences in order to choose either of them for the best outcome. It's always a comparison. But with life, our existence itself, there's a problem of polarization in how to visualize it properly, since we don't really have anything to compare it to. All we will ever know about it is our own existential experience from the perspective of an individual. Life has always been there, and the world began the day we were born. So there's nothing really giving us the obvious chance to pass a value judgment on our own existence, life itself and our feeling of it. To some degree, the awareness of our mortality somewhat provokes us to come to a polarized perception that brings awareness of it. But still, it doesn't give us any real value, since that life ceasing to exist is really a part of life itself. It doesn't define anything but the impermanence of the life cycle. That's why it completely slips our perception and in effect creates tremendous damage to our perception in terms of low energy, low enthusiasm, crippling laziness, and zest for life. If this basic perception goes unaddressed, there is a great chance that life will provide us with its boring, dull, and indifferent side. To boost the awe mindset, and with it the awareness of life, we need to step on the other side of existence, the non-existence. Polarize the idea of this existence having its opposite, non-existence, by asking ourselves, why is there something rather than nothing? We are now able to marvel at its magic and improbability. We are confronted with the perception that this reality is not mandatory. We can ask ourselves whether better any of this or nothing at all. It scrambles our mind. It fascinates us, the very idea that we exist at all, that we are aware that we are aware. Awe mindset is important modus operandi, since it creates a clean slate for an optimal identification process. It protects us from taking our lives for granted. Being able to picture non-existence, emptiness, or absence of creation is one of the most effective triggers of inducing awareness of being alive. Fascination over one's own existence translates into every area of activities, creating an initial motivational spark. We have to be willing to feel the fear of the unknown, of non-existence, as if we never existed, to actually really and meaningfully live. It is a time condenser, an endless source of energy and zest, a platform for the creation of meaningful experiences, like letting it all drown in the feeling of awe and enjoying the flow of it. Awe mindset is a very crucial flow alignment, as it provides the basic energy to sustain flow by triggering the initial zest for life. Among all the wonders in the universe, nothing is more mysterious and amazing than the simple fact that anything exists at all. In this moment, we exist and we are aware of ourselves. Any position we find ourselves in is better than not existing in the first place. Expectations of life are lowered to a minimum. Research shows low expectations are one of the keys to long-term happiness. So let's just flow and expect nothing. So to build an appreciation of our experience, the simple solution is to adopt a looking through the eyes of a child approach, meaning to look at things as if we have never seen them before. In this way, we are able to restore and maintain our childish wonderment and feel fascination even over simple things. All mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention. Look at things as though you have never seen them before, and marvel at the magic and wonder of your own existence. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein, theoretical physicist.
And that is a great place to be, where you walk and realize or see everything as a miracle instead of nothing as a miracle. Sometimes we tend to think that this is wrong in my life and that is wrong in my life. But why not look at what is right for a bit and see everything that's going right in your life and then concentrate on that. And what you concentrate on expands. So if you concentrate on the things that's right in your life, you will draw more things that's right in your life. So I look at things as I have never seen them before is a great attitude to have, is to always be in awe of everything around you. The sea at the beach has this way of just being calming. It's so amazing. And I know you can't always be at the beach, but there's lots of videos where you can listen to sea waves. And it's not like the old days where you had to just cup your ears, or, your hands over your ears to hear the ocean. You can watch YouTube videos. So the transpersonal mindset, our personalities are a sum of experiences, a sum of all the people we interacted with, and a sum of all the ideas and rules that we learned and adopted along the way. We are inseparable from the larger social environment, since it has been proven that without sufficient interaction, our personalities wouldn't have evolved at all. We are a part of a larger society of minds, a part of humanity, and we are all participating in it. If more people would realize this, there would be more peace and more alignment with other people and more loving other people. If I think about the ICF, when we did our course in international certification coaching, is one of the primary things is never to judge. And if more and more people could just learn not to judge people on basis of anything, religion, what do you call it, ethnicity and everything. If less people would judge, life would be so much easier just for everybody. And so let's just take a look at the transpersonal mindset, as Max is going to take us through this lesson. I don't know about you, but I just love these lessons. I lose myself in them every time I watch them. And you can imagine that even to do my certification, I had to go through all this and the book and all the lessons and write exam on it. So, but I can never get enough of this. So I hope you're enjoying this as well.
FlowCode lesson number 35, Transpersonal Mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how transpersonal mindset influences our identity perception and its relation to flow. The part of the brain known as the mirror neuron system gets activated whenever our brain starts to think about performing certain actions or when we closely watch others. By default, the brain sees other people as reflections of ourselves, as if we're looking at ourselves in a mirror. This explains why when someone smiles, we tend to smile back automatically, without really wanting to. These neurons of secular morality are a clear evidence or proof that human beings are inherently wired to live in cohesion with the social environment. Though we can learn to fear and hate, to think of another group as our enemy, we are wired for empathy, wired to be good and kind to one another. By labeling, we condition the brain to access our otherwise useful ability to categorize, to causing us to feel separate from one another, to experience other human beings as objects outside of us that might even pose a threat. This disconnects us from our innate ability to empathize with others and experience our natural response to form human connections. The mainstream view of social sciences has described human beings as primarily individualistic, mostly caring only about ourselves and our self-preservation. Religions have taught us to mistrust human nature as well, and that we need to be socialized by force, intimidation, shamed to learn, to become good, and have self-control. In contrast, the discovery of mirror neurons shows this clearly not to be the case. And instead of showing us that we are wired to feel empathy for one another, we are wired to feel good when we are kind towards others. Nothing comes more naturally than wanting to be happy and to see others happy. We are wired to cooperate and be good to each other. It makes sense that we're much more likely to survive in cooperation than at war over resources, as we've been led to believe. One of the important characteristics of happy people is they tend to reach out to others. They reach out and make other people happy. Those who help others are happier and more fulfilled than those who don't prioritize helping others. It is also about creating a common sense of purpose and the mentality that we are all in this together. Helping others creates a ripple effect that makes not only those who are performing the good deeds happier, but many also boost happiness among other members of the community. By creating chains of events that carry positive meaning for others, positive emotions can spiral upwards, transforming communities into being more cohesive, moral, and harmonious. Transpersonal mindset postulates that we come to grips of how our identities came into existence. As we are inherently social creatures, we cannot help but base our experience and identity in conjunction with the social environment. Our personalities are a sum of experience, a sum of all the people we interacted with, and a sum of all the ideas and rules that we learned and adopted along the way. In this way, we are inseparable from the larger social environment, since it's been proven that without sufficient interaction, our personalities wouldn't have evolved at all. A good example are children, brought up by a pack of wolves who never develop abilities like speech, or a case where an individual who lived completely isolated in a deep jungle for over 20 years, experiencing the loss of sense of self, since there was no one who would refer back to him as a sentient person. There are many such extreme experiences on record. This raises questions about the fluidity of our identity and how we interface with other people. Every second, we are a different person and inextricably dependent on our social environment. Every second we are changed by others, and every second we change others. Nothing set in stone, as we are all a fluid act of improvisation. The self is not a solid thing and never has been. Changing perspective on how our personal identities come into existence is crucial for understanding that we are a part of a larger society of minds, a part of humanity. We are all participating in it. In this way, our experience of flow can be boosted through mirror neurons as a social reinforcing feedback loop. Transpersonal mindset adopts the meaning of our experience as being an ultimately fascinating part of the whole totality. We are a part of humanity, part of a universe which is becoming conscious through us. We are its products and a part of its conscience. Transpersonal mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention: I came to be through interaction with other people. We are all one.
It's like Ernest Holmes put it, you are a drop in the ocean. So you're part of this ocean. You're a drop in the ocean. You're one with everyone around you. And yeah, if more people would realize this, life would be so much better. The world would be so much better. We are one. When I see this, I think of Toy Story with those little guys. We are one. Okay, gratitude mindset. We are all under the influence of hedonic adaptation, sorry. No matter how good something makes us feel, we drift back to where we started. I'm busy with creating a course on happiness, and in that, I talk about this hedonistic happiness that we live in daily, and it brings the perception to a stale after repeated stimuli. We become accustomed to it, and it doesn't attract or satisfy the same way that it used to. Gratitude puts a situation into perspective, strengthens relationships, improves health, reduces stress, and in general makes us happier. So I'm excited for that course. As I said, I'm busy creating it. And yeah, just to be happier. And gratitude is such an important part. And as we're going to take a look at this lesson from the FlowCode about the gratitude mindset, I've also got a free training on the gift of it's a 7-day gratitude challenge, and how gratitude can just take you further in life. Being grateful, just like what you're grateful for, you attract more of, and that's just a natural law of life. Just like the law of gravity is the law of attraction, the law of gratitude just brings more of the things you're grateful for into your life. So let's hear what Max Flow has to say about gratitude.
FlowCode, lesson number 38, gratitude mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how gratitude profoundly influences our ability to flow. What is innate to all human beings is that we are all under the influence of hedonic adaptation. No matter how good something makes us feel, we drift back to where we started. Despite their initial euphoria, lottery winners are no happier than non-winners 18 months later. The same tendency to return to the baseline has been shown to occur after any success, be it marriage, job promotions, or sport achievements. The kinds of things we usually expect to change our happiness and well-being for the better in a more permanent way. Hedonic adaptation brings perception to a stalemate. After repeated stimulus, we become accustomed to it, and it doesn't attract or satisfy in the same way as it used to. It is how we are built. It has advantages, but on the negative side of things, it throws us on the path where we start taking things for granted. And that can happen with any experience. It's up to us to realize that it is in our power to change this perception and to act accordingly. Practicing gratitude restores motivation to the experience. It gives it value. Without inner-built attitude of gratitude, we always end up devaluing things, events, and relationships, including our own life. Gratitude reveals itself only through the perception of polarization, through imagining the absence of things, feeling, or a person. We need to have the opposition to give rise to the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude is an ultimate tool for creating value to any experience. When realization of lost fascination about some important thing is noticed, like our work, partner, or family, gratitude mindset is applied, and appreciation is restored, raising back the energy level, attention, and focus, and maintaining it. From a scientific perspective, gratitude is not just an action. Gratitude is a positive emotion, which is really important because it serves a purpose. Gratitude is more than feeling thankful for something. It is more like a deeper appreciation for someone or something, which produces lasting positivity. Gratitude puts a situation into perspective. It's an important self-correcting code for the alignment to the flow, canceling the effect of taking things for granted. The feeling of appreciation can be experienced instantly. Once gratitude is lost, value of anything and everything is lost. Gratitude helps us realize what we have. The awareness of what we're grateful for can lessen our tendency to run a rat race against hedonic adaptation. Gratitude strengthens relationships, improves health, reduces stress, and in general makes us happier. Gratitude mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention: I am grateful for being able to breathe and being alive.
So, like I said earlier, if you can realize how grateful you can be to have this bodily experience, to have this body you have to walk this earth with, and or to move around on this earth with. And so gratitude is just, what are you grateful for today? I mean, there's so many things we have to be grateful for, and sometimes we just start taking them for granted. Place to live, bed to sleep in. Where we live, there are lots of homeless people, and when I look at them, I just think that person is walking with all his belongings in that small backpack that he's carrying on his back. And that makes you realize how much you have to be grateful for. I mean, they don't even have a place to sleep. We're going to change that. I know it's going to change. I've got this massive big dream, but it's not time for me to get into that, about helping these homeless people. And yeah, it's sad. So if you think about that, just remember what you've got to be grateful for. I mean, just the ability to put water in a kettle and boil that water. Do you realize how grateful you can be for that? And when you start vibrating gratitude, it's also at a high frequency, together with all mindset and all those things. And when you vibrate higher frequencies, you bring in more stuff to you to be grateful for. Without inner built attitude of gratitude, we will always end up devaluing things, events, and relationships, including our own life. And that is when you seek one relationship after another, or buying a new car every year or two, or buying new stuff all the time, because you're seeking that happiness, but you're seeking it in the wrong place. And like I said, I'm busy building this course where happiness comes from the inside, and we are seeking it on the outside. So I'm teaching you where to find your happiness on the inside. I'm excited for that course. I can't wait until it's finished. So creator mindset. How we choose to view the world will ultimately define how we live our lives and what comes back to us. The creator mindset postulates that we are the creators of the meaning of life. Our lives matter depending on what meaning we assign to them. Again, let me just read that. Depending on what meaning we assign to them. You've got the power. It allows us to break free from recorded movie scripts we have embedded over our lifetime, to take charge, adopt an active role, and optimize our experience of flow. So let's take a look at what Max teaches us about the creator mindset. Just want to close some of these tabs again. Otherwise, they become too many.
FlowCode lesson number 34, Creator Mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how creator mindset builds our confidence and potential to experience flow. The answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, pertains to the significance of living or existing in general. Different people and cultures believe different things for the answer to this question. We seek meaning in order to counteract the anxiety before the seemingly indifferent universe. Without conscious interpretation, there isn't such thing as meaning. Meaning itself is an interpretation and reaction. There isn't an inherent meaning in anything. If we pay attention to something and if it causes us to change an opinion or a behavior, then that observation is meaningful to us. Instead, we should spend more time making our life meaningful than taking the meaning of life in general too seriously. The very meaningfulness of life can be increased if we become aware of the causes and effects of our feelings and behavior, and if we are using the insight to guide our future thoughts and actions. And then, if we manage to affect the thoughts and actions of others through our conscious behavior, that's yet another layer of meaning. But without an effort towards self-awareness, life isn't meaningful at all. It's just a series of actions and reactions. So the only way to create a truly meaningful life is to live the most self-aware life possible. As Einstein famously stated, the most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe. If we have to believe that the world is unfriendly, then we will continue to put power behind this belief, and so our actions will change accordingly. And we will do what we can to protect ourselves against others. We will constantly be expecting bad news. On the other hand, if we decide that the universe is friendly, then we will only do things to help others, and the world will no doubt play out this belief, and good things will happen to us. The point is, how we choose to view the world will ultimately define how we live our lives and what comes back to us. If we approach people with an angry, frustrated attitude and an expectation that they too will be angry, then guess what? It's highly likely they will pick up on this and fulfill our expectations. If, however, we approach people with kindness and an expectation that they will be friendly, they will put down their barriers and give back to us what we initially gave out. The creator mindset postulates that we are the creators of the meaning of life. Our lives matter depending on what meaning we assign them. It means we have the power to change our movie script, and we have the power to change our lives. It allows us to break free from the recorded movie script that we have embedded over our lifetime. It allows us to take charge, adopt an active role, and optimize our experience of flow. Creator mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention. We are the creators of our experience, and we can experience this reality the way we want. The meaning of life is to give life a meaning. Anyone looking for a goal will remain empty when it will be reached, but whoever finds a way will always carry the goal inside.
Yes, and that is so amazing. Uh, yeah, if we just learn to realize that we are the creators, and then, as he said, whether you see the universe as good or bad, the same goes for God, whether you see God as good or bad. God is good all the time. Everything, the universe, whether you call it God, the universe, the creator, whatever you want to call it, if you see it as good, you will experience more good. If you see it as bad, you will experience more bad. So that's sadly how it works. And I love to talk about the law of attraction. And if you take magnets, for instance, when you look at these two magnets, you can't see the field between the two magnets, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And if you let go of the one, it will be drawn to the other one. Just like the law of gravity. If a baby that's on a bed, when that baby moves to the edge of the bed and falls off, the fact that that baby didn't know about the law of gravity doesn't mean that he's free from the law of gravity and not falling off the bed. So the fact that you don't know about the law of attraction and how you are creating your life and attracting the things into your life that you are feeling and experiencing doesn't mean it's not happening. So sometimes we would say that it's the universe, it's God, it's our creator that's bringing these bad things into our life, when most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's ourselves, through attracting with our speech, our thoughts, attracting these things into our life. And so when we realize how much power we have, it's just amazing. If you go, I can go so deep into this. If you go into creation and Genesis 1, where God gave man the power to rule over this world. I said that way so that you can think about it. We are the creators of the meaning of life. Our lives matter depending on what meanings we assign to them. It means we have the power to change our movie script, and we have the power to change our lives. It allows us to break free from recorded movie scripts we have embedded over our lifetime. And it allows us to take charge, adopt an active role, and optimize our experience of flow. I have a program rewriting your movie script, but you'll have to contact me if you're interested in learning more about that program so that I can help you to rewrite your movie script. Again, I'm so sorry for the building that they are doing here. It's the flat above me. So, growth mindset. Who knows about growth mindset? This is so important, and that we also do that in my emotional intelligence program. To feel alive, we need to feel like we are growing. T. Harv Eker has this saying, if it's not growing, it's dying. If you think about a plant, if that plant is not growing, it means it's dead. It's going down to the roots. There's nothing left. In time, you will be able to just break it down. And sorry, that made me lose my spot. Progress equals to happiness. Even if we are not where we want to be at. I mean, we always have something to strive for, but so if we are onto something, if we are improving, if we are making progress, we feel alive and vibrant. So just moving forward takes us to life and vibrance. The growth mindset is a crucial alignment to flow, since it influences our mind to stretch ourselves in an effort to enjoy doing it. So let's see what Max Flow says about the growth mindset. This is really, really an important part of life. Like I said, if you think about a plant, if it's deteriorating, it's not growing, but if it's strong and healthy, it's growing. And we as human beings need to grow to move forward in life. And we need to have a growth mindset to be able to do that.
FlowCode, lesson number 37, growth mindset. Hi, this is Max Flow. Let's further explore the possibilities of how a growth mindset influences our overall satisfaction and why it's conducive to flow. Every living system fights entropy and is evolving. To feel alive, we always need to feel like we are growing. Scientists are conclusive in their research that progress equals happiness. Even if we are not where we want to be, if we're on the road, if we are onto something, if we are improving, if we are making progress, we feel alive and vibrant. On the other hand, it doesn't matter how successful we are. If we stop growing, we start dying inside. The formula for happiness and fulfillment is to meet our expectations or exceed them. The growth mindset includes the understanding that abilities can be developed, that we are able to improve and grow. Believing that our qualities are fixed and carved in stone is limiting a belief with overarching consequences. Growth mindset means that traits are not simply a hand that we are dealt and have to live with, but it is merely a starting point for development. It is based on a notion that our basic qualities are things we can cultivate through our efforts. Although people differ in every possible way in their initial talents, interests, or temperaments, everyone can change and grow through experience. A growth mindset thrives on challenge and sees failure not as evidence of unintelligence, but as a heartening springboard for growth and for stretching our existing abilities. Out of the level of this mindset springs a great deal of our behavior, our success and failure in both professional and personal realms, and ultimately our capacity for happiness. Growth mindset is a crucial alignment to flow, since it influences our mind to stretch ourselves in an effort and enjoy doing it. Growth mindset can be sufficiently summarized with the following intention. Growth is a goal in itself. Growth is life. I expand my reality with each and every moment. The goal is not to be better than the other. but better than your previous self.
As you said, the goal is not to be better than the other, but better than your previous self. I did this when I was in lower grades. I can't remember when I started school. I was 4 when my mom put me in school, so I was like still a baby. And so going through school was a bit tough for me because I was younger than everybody else, and I had to learn harder and I had to put in more work to be able to get to the level where they are. And then I started realizing that I can't compete with any of these people. I mean, if you take the difference between a baby when they're born until a year old, there's a massive difference. I mean, the one is completely dependent, where the other is walking around. So, and talking some words. So there's a massive difference in 1 year. So if you can think being a year or 2 years behind the other people in your school, how much that influences your learning abilities or your learning level according to them. And so when I realized that I can't compete with them, I started competing with myself. And I just started trying, if I got this much for a test, I just tried to be better than I was the previous time, not trying to compete with the others, just competing with myself. And that has helped so much. So if you can just compete with yourself, then just try to be better all the time than you did the previous time. Because also when you compare yourself with other people, you start to feel insignificant. You start to feel like you're not good enough. You start to feel things like, they're better at doing something than I am, and then you're not going to move forward. So if you compete with yourself, you move forward all the time. So the goal is not to be better than the other, but your previous self, like I just explained. So now I'm just going to tell you about the Flow Hub 7, the biohack form, portal. But before we go over to that, I just want to talk to you about how you breathe right. Because we in life, we tend to start taking shallow, smaller breaths. The thing is, your subconscious mind starts to take over breathing. Some people say when we talk about subconscious mind, no, where are you going? Ooh, spooky stuff. That's not it. We've all got a subconscious mind, whether you know it or not. Your subconscious mind takes over the things you're doing. Like if you're driving somewhere, when you learned how to drive, you had to concentrate on everything. Whereas later on, you just drive somewhere. You don't even think how you get there. You check your mirrors all the time without thinking about it. And so it's your subconscious mind that took over that ability. But now, just like that, our breathing, our subconscious mind is in control of our breathing, our heartbeat, our body functions, and everything. And so the correct way to breathe, and we're not doing this, is I'm going to show you how you breathe correctly. And I learned this when I was in singing school, and I had to learn to sing out of my diaphragm instead of out of my throat. So how I learned this was I was lying on bed and then put a book on my stomach, the upper part of your stomach, just below your rib cage. So if you put a book there, when you breathe in, it's supposed to go up. And when you breathe out, it's supposed to go down. So we're just going to do this a bit. So I just want you to put your hand, the one hand here at the top, and the other hand at your belly, your diaphragm. So just below your rib cage. So when you breathe in, your hand on your belly is supposed to go out. And when you breathe out, it's supposed to come in. Try that. Breathe in, diaphragm out, breathe out, diaphragm in. So if you can learn to breathe that way, that is how you, if you feel, I want to ask you to close your eyes, and as you hold your hand and feel your diaphragm expand, breathe in, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Do you feel that peaceful state that you feel you are moving into just by changing your breathing? And then the correct posture is standing or sitting position is head up, looking straight forward, your jaw parallel to the floor, your shoulders down to the back, and your spine and hips aligned into one axis. Now I tend to slouch. I go into question mark mode and I walk like a question mark. I sit like a question mark. So we need to have this correct posture. What I loved when we were doing modelings, the books. Oh, we love using books for more than one thing, apparently. So we used to put a book on the top of our heads and then we would walk like that. So you have to walk and try not to let the book fall off. That's the correct posture to walk. And so I just want to explain a bit about the pursed lip breathing technique. If you inhale through your nose, as you know, we've got these little hairs in our nose. We learned this in biology. So the reason they are there is filtration of air, air conditioning, warming and moistening, and no nitric oxide forms when air passes through the nose. It sterilizes air and opens airways. It removes bacteria, parasites, and viruses. So it's not just about breathing in through your nose, if you think about the deeper thing, and then exhaling through pursed lips, like you're blowing through a straw, opens up your airways, additional workload on the body by narrowing exhalation pathway. So we can either, if you meditate, you can either do like a sigh or an exhale. In the flow code exercises, like I'll explain to you a bit later or show you a bit later, they have some that you do the pursed lip breathing technique, they show you. Enabling slow and controlled exhale and forcing your body to adapt to breathing speed. This is what you do when you do the pursed lip breathing. A multitude of positive psychological, physiological adaptations, higher lung capacity and tissue oxygenation. If I think about the first time I started doing FlowCode and I started doing these breathing exercises, I felt like I wanted to pass out. So it just goes to show you how wrong we breathe. And so just see, okay, so there are going to be sound cues in these flow triggers that we're going to play just now. So you inhale through your nose when the high-pitched cue sounds. So you will hear it, it's going to make ping, and then you keep inhaling until you hear the exhale cue. The exhale cue is a deeper sound, but don't worry about this, you're going to see it in the video. So step 2 is exhale through pursed lips, emptying your lungs. Follow the pitched cue sound. So keep exhaling until you hear an exhale cue, which will be the deeper sound. So now I'm going to show you the trigger examples using breath work. The flow mindset trigger example, and so we're going to do the 7 mindsets example as well. So it's the 7 flow personality triggers that are used to further boost flow personality growth in order to create an optimal cognitive perception framework in which flow experience can flourish. And after that, I'm going to tell you about the 7 mindsets. So let's just do this. I love these exercises. That was so calming. So I want you to, this is the practical part of this webinar. So I want you to join in with me as we're going to do this practically.
Transpersonal mindset. We are one. We are I am we. We are all connected. I am in harmony with everything. I treat others as I treat myself. I came to be through interaction with other people. We flow together. We are all one. I am one with everything.
So did you enjoy that? So I just want to show you there, it's the PLB breathing technique is PLB, that's the pursed lip breathing. So that is the breathing technique that I just explained to you. So the 7 mindsets ritual is like we went through the 7 mindsets just now. And the 7 mindsets ritual includes 10 movements combined into a seamless and flowing sequence based on breath work, flow mindsets, and intentions. So let's take a look at this. This is part of those, like I said, those FlowCode exercises that we do daily, or that I do daily, and that I still continued doing when I was in this state these 3 days this week. So again, you heard now the bells, the breathing in and breathing out. So, but you can keep your eyes open or you can close them. And then what I did is I've got my exercises and I put it on a sticky and then I put it into the DVD player. So I've got it on the TV so that I just do the exercises with it. But even if you just do the breathing, that's also good. So let's enjoy this one.
Breathe slow and breathe deep. Always flowing. Just observing. We flow together. I am grateful for every breath. I expand my reality. I am alive and breathing. What I imagine, I create. Let's play. I feel unity. Always flowing. Just observing. We flow together. I am grateful for every breath. I expand my reality. I am alive and breathing. What I imagine, I create. Let's play. I feel unity.
So did you enjoy that? I can bet you feel calm and peaceful, and you're starting to feel the flow, the mindsets, that gratitude mindset of gratitude. So these are from the Flow Hub 7 as well, flow trigger examples using breathwork. So there's a flow meditation example that serves as a cognitive flow trigger and a demonstration of how slow breathing, accompanied with visualization, influences our mental state. So we're going to go through that one first. So this is a light meditation. So what you can do is you can close your eyes if you can, if you're not driving, and you can relax and just listen to Max. Let's just see. Just waiting for Max to show up. So this is a light meditation. So I invite you to join this short meditation.
Flow anchoring. Light meditation. Number 2. Assume a relaxed position. Close your eyes. Take a few deep, calming breaths. Let each exhalation release any body tension. Imagine a white light within your chest. At a pace that suits you, imagine the light gently expanding with each inhalation, growing brighter and brighter. Continue until the light fills up your whole body. Now, allow the light to expand beyond the borders of your body, shining out in all directions. Now take a deep breath. Bring back all the good feelings that you have right now with you as you slowly stretch your body. Open your eyes when you're ready.
Did you enjoy that meditation?
Flow anchoring.
It's as if when the meditation stops that you still want to go on meditating. I've got one that I do every morning, goal meditation. And when he says it's ready, I always say, I'm still building, I'm still building. Okay, so we've got the balanced flow trigger set. Example, it's a powerful combination of breath work, music, and functional balance. Strength and stretch movements, elegantly woven into simple and effective flow trigger sets. So I'm going to play this one. I don't expect you to get up and just do the movements, but I'm going to play it through so that you can see it. And if you want to, if you can, get up and look what she's doing and then balance with her and enjoy it. Just enjoy being in the flow and working on your balance. Just waiting for the... All right, so this one is the flying hero. It's a beginner level exercise. So also you're going to hear the bells with the slow inhale and stuff, and then technique is PLB, pursed lip technique, and then so just enjoy this.
Flying hero.
right, so thank you so much for the guys who joined us. Sumitra.
Flying Hero.
That's awesome. I'm sorry. Just stopping. All right, so we've been going through the whole flow personality, what flow is and how to get into the flow. And we are actually at the end of everything where we're going through some exercises that is inside the Flow Hub 7. And so these are one of the flow exercises that you can do. So the Flow Hub 7, you've experienced some of it through this entire webinar, and there are over 700 flow triggers and programs that are based on the principles of the FlowCode. So I went through everything, what the FlowCode is and what the FlowCode is about and how to get into flow. And so if you go to the Flow Hub 7, I'll tell you just a little bit more about that right now. And you use Linda, you will get 10% off. So let me just first take you there. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm going to show it to you inside the Flow Hub. So you go to theflowhub.com. And then you can start a 7-day free trial. So some of the videos and stuff that I just took you through for the flow personality and everything is inside the Flow Hub 7. So if you click on start your 7-day trial, if you go through everything, you will see on the page everything you get inside the Flow Hub. And some of it is like what we've just done, all the explaining everything where Max Flow just explains to you how the flow works, how you get into flow and how you get into your oneness. And then so you can sign up for the free trial. So let me just get to the bottom of the page. So when you fill in your stuff, when you go to discount code, so you just type in enter to apply. And so you'd get 10% discount. So this is in euros, 8.91 euros, and that's about almost $11. And so that's a monthly membership. And then you can go through all the things that we've done just now. So let me just quickly show you what the Flow Hub is all about, what you find inside the Flow Hub. So there are flow lessons like the ones we've gone through in this webinar. And then you get your flow meditations. The one I like the most that I do every day is the goal meditation, where you set a goal and you go through your meditation about the goal. And then there's some motivational posters, sound immersion. It's like the sound of the sea or leaves or sounds that, because we are that's why we are so relaxed when we're by the seaside. So we've also got beach waves coming in, because we as humans need to experience the water, and because we are 80% water, and that just brings us more peace and calmness. And then we've got the flow trigger sets. And so each one of these are almost like those exercises I just showed you. They are just at different levels. And so you can go through the trigger sets. And then we've got the breath work. It's like I just showed you with the breath work, how we breathe in and out, how we breathe in through our nose, out through our, the pursed lips method that I showed you, breathing out through pursed lips. So then you find your different breaths, like the dolphin breath and so forth. So all the breath work is in there. And then you also get, just go down, so the 7 mindsets is like we are one. The 7 mindsets that we just went through, to be a flow personality, to live in gratitude, to live in awe and be grateful for everything around you, and all those mindsets we've just gone through. And then so then we also have the flow trigger sets, like the flying hero that you just saw. The exercise. So this is beginner level. So you've got your different levels of these exercises. And then So as you can see, the FlowHub portal is massive. There is a lot of stuff in there. And so you've got sleep programs that you can listen to before you go to sleep. And you've got stretch flow trigger sets. And then there's 30-minute flow programs. And so this is everything inside the FlowHub 7. So like I said, you go to theflowhub.com. You can sign up for a free trial, 7-day trial, and you can watch as many videos as you can, and you can do a flow exercise every day. Oh, I just want to show you if you go like these short sessions. So for instance, then you click on this or you tap on it if you've got it on your phone, then you can do the exercise together, and then you just play it. So what happens when you get the FlowHub 7, you can you get a link, so you can just click it there at the top, and then you choose it, make it an app on your phone. So then you just open it on your phone and you play it on your phone. So those are all the things that you get there, the transcend anxiety, depression, and fear, and turn it all into a perfect flow. And so everything is in there that I just took you through. And this is sensory flow, cognitive flow, social flow. So everything that, like you saw, there's over 700 flow triggers that you can choose from. So don't let that overwhelm you. You don't do all the triggers at once in one day. You can, for instance, like I showed you with that, just go back, like with that 30-minute exercise. So then you just go back to, when you go back, then you just do the next one. So you do that one, it's 2 minutes, 20 seconds. The other one is 30 seconds. So it's just the recall trigger, the nirvana warm up, the 7 mindsets ritual. So you go through each one of them as you click on them, and then you just go back and you do the next one. So this is fun and this is life-changing, just to be in the flow and live in gratitude. And like I've said previously, it's because of the FlowCode that I have this calm demeanor around me and living more calmly. And like I said, with that challenge that I went through these past 3 days from Monday to Wednesday. And then, so I've also got, I want to thank you so much. I enjoyed this webinar, and if you missed it from the start, you can go back. It's going to be in Facebook. I'm going to upload it to YouTube as well, and I think I'm going to put it on my website as well. And then thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching this, and yeah, let's live in flow. And with flow personality, you can reach so much more of your potential, and you can be so much more in life as we are intended to be, as God wants us to live in happiness, in gratitude, and in a playful mindset, and all the things that we talked about. So thank you so much for joining me. It was awesome to have you here, and be blessed. So again, let me just, so I must just stop the recording. So thank you again. Thank you so much for joining me, and be blessed. Bye.